Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a short version podcast talking all things Pittsburgh sports. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, and Mike Tomlin talked yesterday. We're another day closer to Steelers-Eagles. George Pickens will be out multiple games. I think it's the biggest test yet for Russell Wilson. I want to get into that, as well as some thoughts on some weirdness across the state. A little strange to see from a team in the position that the Eagles are, but the big story happened last night. The Pirates acquired a first baseman, Spencer Horwitz, from the Cleveland Guardians, really the Toronto Blue Jays, and gave up some pitching to do so. Luis Ortiz, Michael Kennedy, Josh Hartle. Don't love it. I'm going to get into those thoughts as well as what I think it means about the Pirates' direction and some other moves we could see this offseason. But first, I want to remind you this show is brought to you by Edgar Snyder and Associates. If you're injured in an accident, you're probably wondering what's next. For over 40 years, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped injury victims answer that question. Whether it's gathering evidence, collecting medical records, or dealing with insurance companies, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped over 75,000 people handle what's next. Call 1-800-94-EDGAR or visit edgarsnyder.com for a free consultation. And remember, there's never a fee unless they get money for you. All right, of all the Pirates' first base options, let's just say this was not one I expected. I don't think this was one that many people expected. Coming via trade, yes. Coming via trade in the form of Spencer Horwitz, no. Also in the form of giving up so much pitching to do so. I don't like it. The deal, if you didn't give up a lot and you're going to give Horwitz a chance to compete for time at first base, I guess I get it. He has done some good things. It's hard to look at him, and my criticism or feelings on this deal aren't necessarily about Spencer Horwitz. I mean, if you look at his 2024 season, it's actually very good. 97 games, 19 doubles, 12 homers, 40 RBIs, 790 OPS, 125 OPS plus. That's pretty good. Granted, it's not a full sample size. He's very light on service time, which I think is a reason the Pirates were attracted to him, that they're going to have him, I believe, through 2030. And he's done some things, defensive versatility, has played first base, second base, some corner outfield spots, his hit with pop. They like his ability, his patience at the plate, and all of that. Among American League rookies with 350 or more plate appearances, he was first in batting average and on-base percentage. That's some of what I'm talking about. Had a pretty good walk rate, made regular contact, had a low strikeout percentage. So, I mean, he does a lot of things that you would look for in a hitter. My problem is, much like the past couple of years with the Pirates, there's not enough of a sure thing here. There's not enough of a sure thing for me to give up a coveted asset in pitching. Ortiz, Kennedy, Hartle. I mean, Ortiz was going to be in their rotation, and Michael Kennedy wasn't too far off. Now, I'm not saying, Kennedy is a future ace in the making, but if I'm going to trade three pitchers, including one established starter coming off of a career best year, I would like to get a lot more than that. And welcome to texts beeping in. I should have muted that. My apologies. No, but I would want more than a guy who I'm hoping can translate a small sample size into the major leagues. Now, that being said, Horwitz has been pretty good. Again, a 1.2 WAR player according to Baseball Reference last season. It's pretty good. AAA last year, 57 games, had a 970 OPS. In his career, it's been 884 in 448 minor league games. Like, in the Pirates' defense, there's some stuff here. There's some stuff here that show this guy can be a versatile corner infielder, power hitting, middle of the order bat that maybe they can cling to. Where it takes me, though, more big picture, like, is this it? Is this what we're dealing with here? Are they not going to spend money? This was clearly a position of need. And at this point, if, are we going to worry that they're not going to spend $25-30 million in free agency and trade? Because that's kind of what they've done the past two off seasons, as I've talked about a lot on here. Well, Spencer Horwitz does not make much money at all. So are they going to spend that same amount of money? If they are, then I'm much more okay with the deal. If they're going to plunk down a significant amount of money in the outfield now and sort of pivot and get somebody for multiple years of control, or I should say a multi-year contract, okay, I can understand that. But if this is it, which the amount of what they gave up and all that kind of worries me. So I don't I don't hate the deal. I don't love it. I'm sure we're supposed to feel one way or the other. Like I think it's a decent player. I'm curious if they're going to count on him to play 150 some games over there, or whether they were going to platoon him. I guess they could if he doesn't produce. But again, why are we talking about a guy if there's questions of his production when you're giving up that much? That's what I don't necessarily love. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I covet pitching too much, but I'd be perfectly okay with that. All right, want to get to some Steelers thoughts on the other side of a 30-second message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
Welcome back to First 10. We're here middle of the morning, Monday through Friday. I'm your host, Jason Mackey. As always, thanks so much for finding us. All right, let's transition to a little Steelers stuff. Steelers, Eagles. There was some talk yesterday, and there's bound to be talk about this going into the 3 games in 11 days. They play against 3 teams that are a combined 30-8 at Philly, at Baltimore, home against Kansas City. How much does this game really matter? Should the Steelers care? I think it matters a pretty decent amount, and yes, they should care. I don't understand the concept of not caring unless it's the last game of the season and you absolutely cannot move any which way. You should care about it. I mean, the number 1 seed theoretically is still on the table. I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and they've won games by the skin of their teeth. Why would you not bet on them to maybe lose one and then render that Christmas Day game that much more impactful? So yeah, this game matters a great deal to me. I think it matters in terms of pride. I think it matters in terms of the Steelers proving something to themselves. Not that there should be any doubt there, and I don't think there is. But that's a tough place to play. They haven't won in Philly since 1965. I think I mentioned that yesterday. And some of the recent meetings have gone very bad. In this one also, well, the odds are stacked against the Steelers in a pretty significant way. George Pickens, their biggest downfield threat, certainly not going to play. He's going to be out for multiple weeks, and so they have to make up for it. I think this is the biggest test that Russell Wilson has faced yet. We saw the Steelers offense in the second half against the Browns get going. I think the strength, I'm going to sound like Mike Tomlin for a second and quote him, the strength of the pack is the pack. And the strength of the pack has to be the pack against the Eagles. That's the only way to do it. I mean, they're not going to replicate George Pickens. Nobody they have on their roster is going to play like he can play. But they can have different guys do different things and spread it around. I'm curious to see the level of participation Mike Williams has this week. I'm curious to see the usage of Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin III. Pat Freiermuth should be a regular part of the game plan once again. But you've got a 9-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a guy with a strong command of what's happening here. In Russ's 7 starts, the Steelers are 6-1. They're averaging 28.4 points per game. That'll work. You bank on your defense. I think there's an area to maybe exploit in the passing game. More on that in about 30 seconds. But I think there's a lot to be said for the Steelers going to Philadelphia, a very tough place to play, and snapping the Eagles. I believe it's a 9-game win streak at this point. But it would be tough to tell by the narrative coming out from over there, right? I can't believe some of the stuff that is being said about a team that's the second best in the NFC, one of the 5 best in the NFL. You'd think there's problems. You're hearing about Nick Sirianni having job security issues. Like he might not be back if they don't make a run deep enough. Really? They've won 9 in a row. Again, they're one of the best 5 teams in the NFL. We're worried about this guy and job security? Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown talking about the passing game. No, I understand it hasn't been very good. They're only 31st in passing yards per game, about 181. Only the Patriots have been worse. And here's the quote from A.J. Brown, what we did today is not good enough. That was after throwing for 108 yards against Carolina. It won't help us. It's an interesting tack to take if you're trying to maneuver a team and resuscitate a passing game that, again, it has been slow. It has been slower than you would expect. But you may have noticed Saquon Barkley's really good. He could potentially break the league's all-time rushing record. Very good chance he gets to 2,000 yards. Again, talked about this on yesterday's podcast. There's only so many yards to go around. If Saquon Barkley's eating up a lot of them, You've won 9 in a row. You're what are they? 10 and 2? I think they're 10 and 2. That's not bad. That's actually very good. Anyway, you don't need me to tell you that, but the defense is excellent. That's going to be part of the challenge. The DBs as well. I think I talked about that yesterday, but I think the Steelers can derive a lot of confidence from a win in Philadelphia, and I'll be curious to see how they fare without George Pickens. I think this is going to tell us a lot, as did the Cleveland game, about his value to the Steelers and what that means going forward with his contract. All right, thanks so much for checking us out. We'll be back here same time, same place tomorrow. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of this content and much more on our Post-Gazette, North Shore Drive, YouTube, and podcast channels. Thanks for watching First 10, everybody.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.